could see the destruction of entire ecosystems this century without urgent action on climate change. That is a warning from Pope Francis in his encyclical titled Laudato Si, released last month. As expected, critics said it is not the place of the church to wade into issues such as climate change and global warming. The question is, whose responsibility is it to care for our planet? This and more we will try to answer today on Earthfile. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ayola Kasim.
Described by some as the most astonishing and perhaps the most ambitious papal message of the past 100 years, since it is addressed not just to Catholics or Christians, but to everyone on earth. Laudato Si, or praised be on the care of our common home, set out a program for change that is rooted in human needs, but it makes the radical claim that these needs are not primarily greedy and selfish ones. The eagerly awaited encyclical on the environment is a 192-page document that calls global action on climate change and environmental degradation a moral imperative for all humans. Divided into 6 chapters, Pope Francis squarely backs scientists who say global warming is mostly man-made and says developed countries have a particular responsibility to stem a trend that will hurt the poor the most. Laudato Si sends a forceful message to rich countries to change their lifestyle and stop environmental degradation. The first chapter asks what is happening to our common home. It presents the most recent scientific findings on the environment as a way to listen to the cry of creation. It talks about pollution and climate change, pollution, refuse, and the culture of waste, climate as a common good, the issue of water, loss of biodiversity, decline in the quality of human life, and the breakdown of society, global inequality, weak responses, and a variety of opinions. The second chapter focuses on the gospel of creation. Here, the encyclical states that every act of cruelty towards any creature is contrary to human dignity. However, a sense of deep communion with the rest of nature cannot be real if our hearts lack tenderness, compassion, and concern for our fellow human beings. Chapter 3 is on the human roots of the ecological crisis. Reflections on technology are an initial focus of the chapter. The great contribution to the improvement of the living conditions is acknowledged with gratitude. However, it gives those with the knowledge and especially the economic resources to use them an impressive dominance over the whole of humanity and the entire world. In Chapter 4 is the heart of what the encyclical proposes as integral ecology, which it describes as a new paradigm of justice. An ecology which respects our unique place as human beings in this world and our relationship to our surroundings. In fact, nature cannot be regarded as something separate from ourselves or as a mere setting in which we live. With many concrete examples, Pope Francis confirmed his thinking that the analysis of environmental problems cannot be separated from the analysis of human, family, work-related, and urban contexts, and of how individuals relate to themselves. The chapter on lines of approach and action is Chapter 5, which addresses the question of what we can do and must do. Analyses are not enough, the Pope said. We need proposals for dialogue and action which would involve each of us individually, no less than international policy. They will help us to escape the spiral of self-destruction which currently engulfs us. For Pope Francis, it is imperative that the developing real approaches is not done in an ideological, superficial, or reductionist way. The most significant appeal is addressed to those who hold political office so that they avoid a mentality of efficiency and immediacy that is so prevalent today. But if they are courageous, they will attest to their God-given dignity and leave behind a testimony of selfless responsibility. The final chapter focuses on ecological education and spirituality. The sixth chapter invites everyone to the heart of ecological conversion. The roots of the cultural crisis are deep, and it is not easy to reshape habit and behavior. Education and training are the key challenges. But Pope Francis advised that by developing our individual God-given capacities and ecological conversion can inspire us to greater creativity and enthusiasm.